We are now joined by Mr. D.G. Shah, who's Secretary General at Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance, who's joining us on the phone line from Ahmedabad. Let's get a sense of as to what's really happening in the sector right now. Mr. Shah, thank you very much for joining us here on NDTV Profit. It's the first time that we are talking, about what's really happening in the pharma sector with you on NDTV Profit. Can you give us a sense about the pharma sector? We've seen these dark clouds of US FDA observations. They've now been hovering around for quite some time. What's your assessment? What's really the reason and what's happening in the sector?
Well, over the last 12 months, the industry has been seized of, the leading companies are seized of this concern which has been expressed by US FDA. And we have been having periodic dialogue with US FDA in the USA. And addressing and understanding and addressing the concerns raised by them. We have engaged some of the best experts in the world, and the process has already been initiated. It would take us, there are primarily three issues. One is a data reliability issue. Second is the best practices. And third is a culture issue. Now, see, data reliability and best practices is relatively easy to address compared to the culture issue. And this requires a consistent effort. We have targeted that in 2 to 3 years' time, we should be able to address most of these issues. But this does not mean to say that during this period, other companies may not get such warning letters or import alerts. But we believe that we have identified the issues and the solution. Now it's a matter of time for us to implement this.
All right, so that's a welcome move. I mean, the way you're saying that the industry has identified, of course, the issues, and identification, recognition of an issue is really important, and then you can look out for some sort of a solution. But how come we've seen a sudden spike in observations that have come in from the US FDA to the almost entire Indian pharma sector? What has really changed, say, in the last 1 year, one and a half year or so, that the number of observations that we've got, it's been way too much?
Well, at least there are three factors. One, the number of facilities which are in India has gone up significantly. Number two, with the global expansion of facilities which FDA has to inspect, that has gone up, and the growth of inspectors. See, any organization like pharma companies which have grown at a rapid pace, the training, skilling of the inspectors has not kept the same pace. And as a result, there is an element of subjectivity has crept in, which FDA has also recognized. And on its part, FDA is addressing those issues. And thirdly, the standards and the interpretation of the standards has changed. So all these three factors combined have led to, not only in India, I mean, if we go through the detailed analysis of warning letters all over the world, and this is no excuse for Indian companies. I'm not saying it as an excuse, but I'm only putting the issue in perspective that this is not just in India, it has happened all over the world. And we need to meet whatever is the expectation of US FDA and restore confidence in the FDA that the senior management, the top management of the companies are concerned and committed to meet the FDA requirement. And this message we have been able to communicate to FDA that we are serious.
Right. So, Mr. Shah, can we expect, as you're saying, that, the issues will be addressed by the companies here as senior managements of these companies are aware of the entire situation, then can we say that we may see a lot of investment really being taking place in this year into skilling and training so that, right standards are maintained as the kind of expansion that we've seen in terms of number of facilities, more and more investment in skilling and training going forward coming in?
Not only this year, but this has already begun a year ago. We started working on this. I'm in a position to talk today because last 1 year we've been working on this, and companies have made significant investment, not only on skilling and training people at all levels, but also developing the best possible guidelines which are vetted by the global experts, by the regulators, and these are being implemented. And in terms of equipment and hardware, also companies are making significant investment because there are some things which could be easily done by ensuring that audit trail cannot be wiped out, so that even if a junior officer inadvertently should not be able to do that, and we don't face this sort of issues from the FDA. So several actions have been initiated, and that's why I'm in a position to say today that you would see it, and precisely US FDA wants us to monitor and measure the change that is taking place. So we are doing that.
Right. So industry is really taking a lot of measures to improve things on that front. Sir, we've also seen this government's decision which had come in to ban about 344 fixed drug combinations, and many companies have managed to get an interim relief. What's the update on that front? How is the industry really now going to tackle that particular issue? Because there are also now news reports floating that apart from these 324, about 400 more are expected to get banned in the similar fashion.
I will first register my objection to the word "managed to get stay." No, that's not managed to get stay. This is a legitimate. The due process of law was not followed. Industry is willing to work with government, and we are not just after profit. The patient safety and well-being is the first and the most important criteria for us. And if we do not meet that, the patients won't have faith in us. Unfortunately, what has happened, that terms of reference of the committee and the data provided to the committee have been shrouded in secrecy. There has not been any transparency. The companies were not given an opportunity to present their case, and this was a knee-jerk reaction that suddenly one fine evening, not even morning, one fine evening, CDSCO came up with 344 notifications banning drugs. Now, these are drugs which are approved by DCGI himself. These are not the state FDAs which had approved this. Now, terms of reference to the committee was that only which were approved by state were to be examined. Now, it's like saying that a student who got a degree from a university, after 10 years, university tells him that, no, we granted the degree wrongly, we are withdrawing the degree. Now, if you even want to do that, the student would like to understand what was when you issued me the degree, and what are you doing now?
Right.
Now, this is precisely our dialogue with the government now. But look, tell us which, if there are 3 ingredients in a drug, which one is making it irrational? And if for 25 years these drugs, you have allowed us to sell these drugs, then aren't you responsible for compromising patient safety if you say that this were...
Right.
So there is a lot more to it, and see, court is not going to be the solution. Ultimately, the court will tell us that, okay, go back and sit down with the drug regulator and understand, and will tell drug regulator that listen to the companies what they will say.
Right.
And this is what we are trying to work at.
Okay, so what is going to be the next step that we are likely to see now in this particular case? Very briefly.
For me to predict what government will do will not be appropriate, and I'm not even in a position, but we are working to initiate a dialogue with the government.
Okay.
That look, can we, I mean, an industry and its regulator cannot be at loggerheads. They need to work together to achieve the desired result, and without compromising patient safety. So can we do that? And this is what we are trying to do.
You're seeking to get
and I'm hopeful that we will succeed in initiating this dialogue.